Hello, welcome back to the channel. Well, some of you might know that I am a fountain pen user. I usually keep at least 2 fountain pens inked up at any one time. This is a new fountain pen to me. This is the Scrivener Classic. This was a gift from a friend. I'm really interested in checking it out and getting it inked up and testing it. So let's get into it. Stay tuned. Well, here is the Scrivener box, Scrivener of London. This is my first Scrivener pen. Let's open up the box here. This was a gift. So, a nice little package here. Ooh, very nice. Scrivener, lift tab, spare cartridges under pen tray. There's the tab. There's paperwork. And some spare cartridges. Very nice. Well, let's take a look at the pen, shall we? It is a nice weighty pen. So my friend who gifted it to me had my name engraved on it. Well, not really engraved, but printed on it. Okay, it's a beautiful pen. So starting with the top here, the Scrivener logo is in the end of the cap. I really like the kind of very classy looking pen clip. I'm trying to decide what style that is, but the clip seems pretty rigid, but it also seems pretty practical. Sometimes these pen clips can be too tight. This one looks like it might work okay. Scrivener logo here. The cap pulls off, so there is a nice plated ring on the base of the cap with the Scrivener name. Set that aside. So the grip section is round. It doesn't have the triangulations that some other pens have. Some people don't like that. And it's a fairly narrow body that tapers back down. There's a nice plated ring right here, and then on the back here is a nice little ring and a rounded plated finial on the end of the base of the pen right there. So I understand these pens are lacquered brass, so that explains the weight of it. These are not resin pens. These feel quite nice, and I must say the blue color is just stunningly beautiful. So I'm thinking that the styling of this clip looks kind of like a Vogue style from the 1930s, kind of Art Deco style maybe. Is that what I'm thinking of? Anyways. So these pens are designed by Scrivener, who is a couple in London, England, and they use components made in Germany, basically Schmidt. This is a Schmidt number 5 medium nib. Schmidt nibs, the feed system, and also it comes with a Schmidt converter. And then the pen body and cap are made in China to their specifications. So it's a beautiful pen. Really anxious to start using it, but let's take a close-up, if we will, of the nib. So the nib is engraved Schmidt Iridium Point Medium. Again, a German-made Schmidt Iridium Medium Point. Well, let's ink this pen up, shall we? So I think I'm going to use the converter with bottled ink, and I'm going to go use the Shinkai Iroshizuku by Pilot. This is a blue ink. So these Schmidt converters unscrew. They are threaded at the end of the converter. So my usual methodology of filling up these converters lately has been using an ink syringe. It's generally just a little bit less messy in terms of getting ink all over the converter and then getting that into the feed system kind of sloppily. So I'm just going to draw some ink here. I have the converter screwed back all the way, and we will just fill converter up with this blue ink. Not all the way. Let's see. Pull it back a little bit. All right. cap it. So the threads are still clean. This is one thing I find important about this. And then screw it in all the way. And then what I kind of like to do, now Scrivener recommends placing the pen upside down in like a glass, drinking glass or something, and leaving it there for a little bit to fill up. What I kind of like to do is to pre-prime the nib a little bit. I'll put a little bit of ink on the feed system here, just to get it kind of primed up a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and let it sit for a while, and we'll start testing it out. And I like to wipe off the rim of the ink bottle and the inside of the cap as well. It just keeps from getting dried ink crumbles from falling back into the ink and later on maybe clogging up your feed system. And I'm going to go ahead and flush out my ink syringe with water and put it back in my box here. Okay, it looks like maybe we have perhaps some good flow here. So before I start doing the test here, we should probably talk about the balance of the pen. So it is a brass pen, so it is heavy. You can post the cap. I should point out, however, that there are no O-rings. So a lot of the modern resin pens have an O-ring in the back to help you post the cap. And they also have an O-ring up here by the grip to help seal the cap when you seat it. This doesn't have either of those O-rings. It's more of a classic construction. So it does have a little liner on the inside of the cap that you can feel grips the body. Now I have read some other reviewers reviewing this pen, and they seem to think that the pen is a little back heavy when you post it. But I'm going to start writing on it with it posted. And as a test, I'm going to use this Clairefontaine tablet, which, by the way, I have been using with my Monteverde MP1. We'll set that aside. Okay, let's see here. So this is Scrivener Classic. So this is a medium point. I will point out right here when I tried to do the C, this is my very first test. It did skip a little bit. This is a medium point. Medium point. And this is Pilot. Iro Shikuzuku blue ink. Okay. Looks like after the initial feeding issues where I had the little skip right here, so you notice that I tried to do a circle and a little bit of, oh, look at that. See, when I start, it looks like it has a little problem starting the line, and maybe it's the way I'm holding it. So I'm going to have to play with this and see. It is also a medium point, and I'm generally using fine points more these days. So I think the thing I'm going to be conscious of here is how does it start a line? It looks like maybe now that I'm starting to use it, perhaps there was a little bit of grease or oil or something on the actual nib itself. But right now, well, it looks like it's writing okay. It is a medium point, as I said, so I'll have to get used to that. I'm usually liking finer points, but having said that, I also have the Pilot Plumix in a stub nib. And the stub nib is interesting because it has both a thick line that looks like this medium line and also makes a thin line, like a fine point if you go the other direction with it. So, but this is also a Japanese nib versus the German nib in the Scrivener. And the German nibs, we know generally the sizes run a little bit bigger than the Japanese or Asian nibs. So a nice wet line, has a nice shine to it. Now, of course, laying down a medium-sized line, this is going to take a little bit to dry. I can see that these little hurriedly done little dots, they're actually more like commas, they're little pools of ink, and it's going to smear if I rub on it right now. It'll take a little bit to dry. So that's the thing about medium points, larger points, is it does lay down a lot of ink, and you have to deal with that. Well, it looks like it's writing pretty good. I would say now, as for the balance or the weight of the pen, I have read other reviewers talk about they prefer to write with it uncapped, and the problem with it unposted is the body is a little short for some people's hands. But because it is a heavy brass body, once you add the cap to it, which has quite a bit of extra mass to it between the clip and the finial being being made of metal, it does, they say, add extra weight to it. It makes it back heavy. But right now, I'm not really thinking that it feels too back heavy, although I'm not choking up on the front of the grip when I'm holding it. I tend to hold it back more toward here. And right there, that is a nice feeling weight balance. I like that. So I would say here that it is a really nice pen. I'm starting to like the weight balance because instead of trying to fight it, I'm just letting it sit on my hand. And the thing that I realize, because I've been using fine and extra fine nibs for a while, but the thing I realize about this medium point is literally just let the tip sit on the paper. Like right here, I'm not gripping it. I'm just letting the weight of the pen on the paper make the line itself. So it really is effortless in a sense. I will also mention, just parenthetically, that I have atrocious handwriting. I'm not one of these fountain pen reviewers who has beautiful handwriting. And the main reason is, as I'm indicating in this little paragraph here, I don't write letters by hand for other people to read. I usually type letters with typewriters. So fountain pens for me are a personal use system. So I write notes to myself, and I write journal entries, and I have like a design and idea sketch journals, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that I use fountain pens for. This is really nice. I like the feel of it. It's going to be different having a medium point, but I think I'm going to be able to get used to it. And I think I can see already that on good paper, like I'm literally letting the pen sit on my hand. I'm not gripping it per se. And just the weight of the pen seems like, at least on this good French-made paper, it seems like it flows really well. I should also, we should probably do, this is more like an ink test rather than a fountain pen test, but we should look on the previous page I did. There's no bleeding, no feathering, no ghosting or anything like that. Of course, a lot of that is the quality of the paper, this being Clairefontaine, of course, which is really classic fountain pen friendly paper. So there you go, Scrivener. I really like it. And I think it's important to point out that Scrivener is spelled with an EI in the middle of the word, as opposed to the software company named Scrivener with just an I in the middle. So a difference in spelling. So I have the cap posted in the writing position. I'm going to go ahead and cap the pen, and you start to feel a little bit of resistance right about there. Push it, boom. That has a really nice feel to it. So just being able to pull the cap off feels so natural. I know a lot of the resin pens I have threaded caps. It takes a little bit to get used to having a threaded cap, but I really like that. I like the aesthetics of it. Certainly like the lacquered brass. The weight of the pen adds a lot to the enjoyment of it. I like this kind of classic look and design aesthetic of the pen. The blue lacquer is just gorgeous. Well, I think we should weigh these pens. So we have as a Monteverde MP1, we have the Scrivener Classic, and then we have the Pilot Metropolitan stub nib. All three of them have ink. These two are getting to be closer to being empty, so it's not a completely scientific weight comparison because otherwise I would be weighing them when they were totally empty. So first, the Monteverde MP1 piston filler, 24.4 grams. The Pilot Metropolitan, 25.3, and the Scrivener, 33.3. So the Scrivener, being a slightly skinnier body, is significantly heavier. Okay, the Scrivener with it capped is 138 millimeters. The Metropolitan is about the same, 138. And then the MP1 looks longer. It's going to be 144. Yeah, the Scrivener is a classic looking fountain pen, and I like the weight of it for sure. And as opposed to some of the other YouTube reviewers, I kind of like it with the cap posted. I like the way it feels. I think the body, I would agree with them that the body is a little too short if I was going to write it without the cap being posted. Well, I'm really pleased with the way this pen feels and looks, and I'm really interested in starting to use it in my daily rotation of fountain pens. So my Monteverde MP1 is just about getting empty, and so is the Pilot Metropolitan. So one of those two I'm going to just flush out and put back into storage, and I'm going to start using this pen as one of my daily driver fountain pens. Really looking forward to it. I think the challenge with being a fountain pen collector and user is that it's not really practical to keep all of your fountain pens inked up all the time because the ink's going to dry out. You're going to have problems with the feed and all that. So generally, most of us collectors, at least the people I've talked to, we try to keep a few pens inked up at any one time. Those are the ones we use on a daily basis. And then if we're interested in trying out new inks or new pens, we have to flesh out, dry out the old pens, put them back into storage, and then start using the new ones. So there's always this kind of background maintenance issue with being a fountain pen collector. And I will contrast that with, for instance, my wife. She has one fountain pen, a Pelican M200, I think it is. And I'm the one who fills it up, so she just leaves it on my desk here when it gets empty. And that's the only fountain pen she has. She's happy with it. She uses it. She's not a collector like people like us are. She's not an office supply junkie, maybe. There's a difference between having just one pen and having a whole collection of them. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What is your strategy about maintaining a collection of fountain pens? Do you have regular pens that you tend to use more often, or do you try to rotate through your whole collection? I have a lot of fountain pens. I mean, not nearly as many as some collectors. I have, less than a dozen good pens probably. But there are some that I'm really pleased to use. I like the Pilot Metropolitan in the stub nib. This Scrivener is going to be really fun, and I like the Monteverde MP1. But there's other fountain pens also that in my collection that I like. I love the TWSBI piston fill pens and the way they can be self-maintained. I even like the Lamy Safaris and those kind of pens. So, there's a whole bunch of cool pens these days. I think we live in an era, it's like an ideal era for fountain pens because you have collectors and people who are skilled in restoring old fountain pens, but you also have all these new fountain pens with kind of like new technology, new feed system, new kinds of vacuum fill systems and piston fill systems, things like that. And there are so many inks out on the market, so many brands of inks, and each brand has dozens and dozens and dozens of different colors. So what a great time to be alive for fountain pens these days, I think. In any event, I'd like to hear from you. Are you a fountain pen user? Do you have a collection of fountain pens? What are your favorite pens? What are your favorite inks? I'd really love to hear from you. Drop a note down below. Let's talk about fountain pens. And until next time, stay creative with your fountain pens and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.